It's 6 p.m. We're going to go ahead and get the meeting started. We have quite a few people still to join, but we have quite a few people here, so I think we'll go ahead and get the meeting started. That's okay. This is the Shannon Road, El Camino del Cerro Water Quality Assurance Revolving Fund Sites Community Advisory Board meeting. It's Tuesday, February 17th. The time is 6:01 p.m. The meeting is being recorded. The recording and the minutes will be available on our website. The recording will be up next week. The minutes will take a little bit longer. And recording and presentations can be distributed at request. So if you would like either of those, just let me know after the meeting. My name is Barb Boschert. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator at the Remedial Project section at ADQ. Couple of things before we get started. We are going to have a presentation tonight from Kyle Johnson, who is the project manager for the Shannon Road El Camino del Cerro wharf site. And then during and after that, feel free to ask Kyle any questions. You can either use the hand raise function, which is under reactions, or you can post a question in chat. Either one of those, we will find those. Don't worry, everybody will get a chance to ask their questions. We'll make sure all questions get answered before the evening is done. Please mute yourself if you're not already done so. It just keeps down on the feedback. So let's see. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to make a few introductions. Before I do, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of one of our CAB members, Gary Burchard, who was a longtime member of our Community Advisory Board, who passed away this last year. And he was very much appreciated for serving on the CAB for so many years, as well as serving his community. You may know his name. He's worked in a lot of different state agencies, and we were very grateful to have him. So I wanted to acknowledge that he is no longer with us. So we have on the call tonight a few ADQ people. There's myself, and you can, put your camera on and wave hello if you'd like. But we've got Brittany McBain, who is our other community outreach coordinator here in Remedial Projects. And then, of course, we've got Kyle Johnson, who is our project manager. We've got Aaron Tews, who's one of our community liaisons. And I believe Tina is here. Tina LePage is our section manager at ADQ. Finally, we do have a quorum of CAB members tonight, which means this will be an official CAB meeting. We have Wally Wilson. I see you there, Wally. You're the only camera I can see right now. I believe Bob Ornelas is here. You're here, right, Bob?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Hi, Bob. Carrie Safari is here. You want to say hi or wave? All right. And then we have Adele Stager, who's also one of our CAB members. Hi, Adele. We are missing Keith. I just wanted to let the rest of the CAB members know that Keith did message me and he's not able to attend the meeting, but like I said, we still do have a quorum for attendance. So we've got the agenda up on the screen of what we're going to be going through tonight. We'll do Kyle's presentation along with any questions, comments that you guys have on the presentation. Following that, we do have some CAB business to take care of. As you know, at our Community Advisory Board meetings, we do have to elect a chair and a co-chair every time we meet, pretty much. So we will discuss that and have an election for that if possible. And then we'll also just review our meeting minutes from the last meeting and vote on approving those. And then, of course, discuss the next meeting. So let me turn it over to Kyle and we can go right into the presentation. I'm going to stop sharing this.
Any luck, you should be seeing my screen. That coming through okay, Barb?
Yep.
All right, excellent. Well, Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Johnson, and I am the project manager for the Shannon Road El Camino del Cerro Water Quality Assurance Revolving Fund Site, which I will call WARF as opposed to that because we don't have unlimited time. So to start out, I'll just recap the general WARF process, and that's the same process all sites go through as they become listed and onto a WARF registry and then move through the WARF process and finally, at one point in the future, close. Uh, all sites begin with a preliminary investigation. There's my laser. And then they move into, depending on the findings of that, they move into becoming a registered WARF site and then go through a process where potentially responsible parties, potentially parties that may have caused contamination are searched for. We run a remedial investigation, and that's where you kind of determine the nature, character, extent of the contamination at the site. That includes looking into the different uses for land and water that are foreseen at the site, as well as determining what objectives the remediation of the site should encompass. After that, we move on to a feasibility study where different remedial technologies are evaluated and compared in order to try and determine a method to clean the site up. And that then progresses into a proposed remedial action plan. And that is a more detailed look at the remedies put forth in the feasibility study, or perhaps even altered if new data becomes available. Then finally, we move on to a record of decision, and that is where we are currently at, and that is the state's decision document as to what the remedy for the site will be going forward. Once that document is put out, the remedy is implemented, and it's operated and maintained, usually for many years. And once all of the contaminants are below regulatory standards, we can remove the site from the WARF registry. So just a little background, I know it's been a while since we've met. This site is a groundwater contamination site, and it is the only contaminants we currently have above a regulatory standard are tetrachloroethylene and trichloroethane. The standard for both of those compounds is 5 micrograms per liter. We still exceed that this time within the groundwater at the site. So to give you a little more details to what we see in the groundwater at the site, I have a couple of figures here, and I will zoom in on them so that you can see them better. But generally, when we're looking at the aquifer in this part of Tucson, our contaminants occur at 2 different elevations. We're going to call one the shallower elevation, the other one the middle zone. We actually have a deeper zone as well, and that one we've not found any contaminants in it, so it's not featured here. It's been below any standard. So hopefully you can see this a little better, but what you'll see here is the general flow of the groundwater at the site, and that is to the to kind of the northeast there. And the red line is the inferred edge of the plume, the portion of the water that contains contaminants above a standard. I'm sorry, I moved my finger there. Then we have the middle zone, and you'll see the same thing. And what you're seeing, if you were to overlay these 2 figures, is the contaminants start a little bit shallower to the south, and as the water flows northerly, they dive a little bit deeper. That's what you're seeing with this other figure right here. The greatest concentration we've detected at the site is the most recent sampling is about 23 micrograms per liter, which is 4 to 5 times the standard we are trying to achieve. So that's the current condition of tetrachloroethylene at the site. Now I'll move on to the trichloroethylene. Again, the aquifer in these figures is broken up into the same 2 different zones, a shallow and a middle, and we have significantly less tetrachloroethylene above the standard. Essentially 1 well was found during our most recent sampling efforts, and that's right here. I'm sorry, let me get my laser pointer. Right there is the 1 well that we still exceed, or that we've found exceeds the TCE or trichloroethylene. And it's not what I would call super hot. It's It's at about double the standard, 11 and a half micrograms per liter, which is not too bad considering at one time the concentrations of this site were in the hundreds. So next I'm going to talk about a treatment system upgrade. I should probably actually remind you folks, there is a drinking water well that we have at this site. If I can zoom, I'm getting a little lag here. Bear with me, but there it goes. Sorry. It's having some technical difficulty. Hey, can you still see my screen, Barb?
Mm, no, it's coming up with your J drive.
Okay. Yeah, it just everything just shut down on me. There it
Ah,
goes.
there you go. Just blow it up. Yep,
Sorry.
perfect.
A little better. Just a quick reminder, there's a drinking water well out here that is owned and operated by Metro Water. That is kind of up in this area right here. It's the South Shannon well. ADQ funds a wellhead treatment system on that well that essentially cleans any water that comes out of it and makes it 100% okay to drink, meet all standards. So we recently upgraded that system to go from a granular activated carbon filtration to advanced oxidation process. This is a fun little diagram that just kind of shows how it works. But essentially, water would come up from the well on this side and it would pass through a little filter right here that gets all the sediments and such out of it. Then it gets doped with hydrogen peroxide, which is H2O2, which is kind of important. Once the hydrogen peroxide is introduced to the water, it's then exposed over here to ultraviolet light, which is a wavelength that'll go through the water and it'll break apart that H2O2 into hydroxyls, which are just OHs. So you get a couple hydroxyls, and those hydroxyls are they're very reactive, and they will actually go in and break the connections in the molecules for the contaminants down until you essentially just have turn into water, really. And then from there, it's not in this figure, but it still goes through its original granular activated carbon vessels as kind of a polishing technique, which is kind of a nice feature to have. So here's just a couple of pictures since, as I said, this is a relatively new construction, but this is the hydrogen peroxide tank there, and that's a little, probably a little more concentrated than what you'd find in your bathroom at home.
Is that the
This is the,
DeConcini well, Kyle?
no, this is the South Shannon well.
South Shannon. Okay.
South Shannon, yeah. And then right here, this is the ultraviolet chamber. This is where all the water and the hydrogen peroxide is exposed to the UV light, which creates those hydroxyl radicals that we want to clean any contaminants out of the water. And then here's a close-up of a fella installing the UV bulbs. You'll see he wears gloves, and you can see how very clear that glass is. I'm afraid I'm going to lose the presentation again, folks. I'm sorry. It's giving me the spinning wheel. But you can see how clear the glass is. And we want the clearest glass possible on that because anything else, you're kind of wasting electricity. You want that UV light to be able to be exposed to the hydrogen peroxide. Again, I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on with my computer here.
Barb, this is Bob Ornelas. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep,
Bob.
loud and clear.
How would I be able to take a tour of the new updates? Would I need to go through Metro Water or ADEQ facilitate that?
Um, Bob, I was going to offer once Kyle's done that if cab members would like to take a tour of the facility, Metro Water would be happy to give you a tour. You know, office hours during the week. Um, but it would be nice to coordinate that and see if as many as cab members would be interested. We would love to provide a tour. So it looks like his presentation's back up. So
I'll get back to it. But Wally, that's real nice of you. And that's yeah, this would all be through Metro. This is their well, they own the property, all that good stuff.
I do have to point out, though, real quick, the one thing we couldn't do, though, is have a majority of the cab members present at a tour unless we publish it as a meeting. So we can do that. We can publish it as a meeting and you guys can all go at the same time. Might be easier to go in groups of two if possible, because there's only 5 cab members right now. So if we have 3, that means we're having a cab meeting and we have to notify the public that the cab is meeting.
Okay.
So let's just bear that in mind. If you can keep me in touch with any arrangements you guys make, Wally, to get out to the site, that would be great, just so we make sure we're above board with our open meeting requirements. Thanks.
So the great thing about this system is that it allows Metro Water the capacity to over double the amount of water they were pulling out of the ground, which is very good for the treatment, the remediation of this site. It provides better hydraulic control, mass removal, everything you want. So this has been kind of a huge boon for the site. And it did take a couple of years to actually install this and get it up and running. It was a bit of an effort. So the next thing on the docket here is the record of decision. And if you'll recall at the very beginning of the presentation, that's what ADEQ is currently working on, is drafting and issuing this document. It's still in the draft phase, but we hope to have it done soon. It's relatively complete, but there's still pieces that need to come together before we can issue the document. And a lot of that has to do with things like historical costs and kind of non-technical details and administrative work that needs to go into these documents to ensure they're done properly and put out to the public in such a way that meets Arizona revised statute. I think Molly has a question or comment.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with this site. What flow rate are you pulling since you've upgraded the system?
We're hitting around 600 plus GPM, gallons per minute. 600 plus gallons per minute. Plus, Wally, you got updated information from Metro. Okay, cool. Which is good. I think we were diminished down to 200-ish in years past, which was not so good. So kind of the big thing for the record of decision is, what is the remedy? What was the state going to do to ensure that, only the aquifer is restored to the condition it needs to be? And the 3 main components of the remedy are a landfill cover, which already exists and was installed by Pima County many years ago, actually. And that's this image you see on the left here. You can kind of see that the tracks running through the ground, it's not naturally formed. That's man-made, well, or placed by man, local earthworks to keep water from ponding on top of that landfill. And by avoiding the pooling of water, it helps reduce the infiltration, the ability of the water to run through the soil and pick up any contaminants from the old landfill and then drag them down to the aquifer. So that's a good thing to have. And that's step 1 for the remedy, is to make sure that that landfill stays in such a state where it can't harm the aquifer again in the future. The second portion of it is continued operation of that South Shannon Wells treatment system, wellhead treatment system. That's the image you'll see on the right here. And actually all of our new stuff is under this roof right there that says 5781 on it, which is just a relic from the Google aerial image. But that is the portion by pumping that water out, you are maintaining hydraulic control of the contaminants in the groundwater. You're not allowing them to go past this well and hit other wells down gradient. And then additionally, it also speeds up the mass of the contaminants you can pull out of the ground. So that's also a good thing to have. Then the third component is monitoring the aquifer to ensure that what we're doing is working. We want to make sure that we're seeing concentrations go down, the plumes moving towards the production well, the extraction well, that kind of work. And actually all 3 of these components of the remedy have been in place essentially for decades. Honestly, the landfill's been covered for decades, the treatment system's been running for decades, and we've been monitoring the aquifer for decades. And that shows in the concentrations you saw earlier. As we see now, we don't have anything above 25 micrograms per liter that we've noted. And that's come down from like, goodness, probably up in the hundreds. Before my time, it may have even hit 1,000. I couldn't say without looking at an old table or graph. But we are at the long stretch, and it's a little more difficult to reduce concentrations that are already low. It's easier to go from 1,000 to 100 than it is to go from 25 to 5. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So it's tough. We're searching for one molecule amongst many and trying to get it out. So I did make a slide, and this is in response to a request from a CAB member to discuss budget. And so hopefully this doesn't look too busy for you. I'm going to go over and explain it, but I thought it might help the CAB have a discussion. So I wanted to provide something that could hopefully assist you folks with that. So what I've got here is the last 20 years of money spent by the state at this site. I'm starting in our fiscal year 2005 and going all the way through to 2025, which is our last completed fiscal year. Right below each year, you're going to see how many dollars were spent. Then those dollars spent, I've put on a graph to kind of let your eye track along it so you can see as the years go by, how much did we spend? You know, somewhere like this, more money was spent. More money was spent. And then between those two things, I've thrown up what kind of work was completed. So you can see the remedial investigation ran through fiscal year 05 all the way to FY 15. Then that feasibility study I mentioned, the proposed remedial action plan, and then we're working on record of decision. You can see things like the treatment system has been operated through this entire span of time. The groundwater monitoring has gone on through this whole span of time. And then I took a brief look to see, because this is before my time back here, but I did notice there was a high density of well installations, monitoring wells, and those tend to be rather expensive. So I figured I'd throw that in there. It accounts for a fair amount of additional cost. 16 monitoring wells, you probably pay anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 per well. And then you can see this bump over here, and that's essentially the treatment system upgrade capital costs. All right, and this is actually the last slide, so I don't know if the CAB wanted to, if there was a desire to discuss. Like I said, it was indicated to me that might have been a discussion for you folks. So I could throw this back up later if it helps you, or I could field any questions right now. I think we might have a question mark.
You mean a chat?
Yes, I'm not super familiar with.
It's Carrie saying thank you for showing the budget breakdown over the decades. Yeah.
You're very welcome, Carrie.
So not a long presentation, but does anybody have any comments or questions for Kyle? Nobody?
Oh, we got
Go ahead,
Wally
Wally.
raising his hand.
Just kind of a clarification on why the upgrade was done, and along with the PCE and TCE, several years ago, many years ago, it became evident that there was 1,4-dioxane in the plume, and Metro Water for many years was able to deliver water from South Shannon blended with two other wells that are immediately north of the site. But as 1,4-dioxane concentrations increased, the blending became less efficient, so we had to turn down the discharge from the South Shannon well. And that's why, Molly was asking what the discharge is now and why it was only 200. So now with the AOP installed, we're able to run that well at its design capacity, as well as matching what the design of the remediation strategy was. So all things are up and running as they should be, and capturing the plume as should be, and with higher rates, we get more rapid resolution to the treatment of the plume. So all things are pointed in the right direction with the new upgrade on the treatment.
Thank you, Wally.
Hmm.
Perfect. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
And if I don't know the answer, I'll just make up something silly. So it's kind of fun.
Did you have something again, Molly?
Yeah, it's not related to this wharf site, but we've added granular activated charcoal to a couple of other wells in the area that have seen PFAS issues. So we're in a busy this wharf site is in a busy location for a number of different things, and Metro Water is putting treatment on wells that are necessary.
Thanks, Wally. Molly, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So I was curious if you could go back to your slide that shows annual expenditures. So are you saying that operations, maintenance, monitoring, and everything for this UV system is running you guys around 200,000 a year?
I was going to ask that too.
That's kind of awesome.
We have, it's for a treatment system, that's not a bad number. What I can
No.
tell you is we haven't actually completed a full year of having it up and running, but I think we will get it done for around 150, 160. I can have an exact, excuse me, I can have an exact number for you after July.
Okay.
But yeah, not terrible. Yeah, thank you for the question.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had some starts and stops when the system came online. There were a variety of things that were vendor related, not DEQ or Metro Water, and but we are now running the well over 18 hours a day, every day. We want to creep that up as time as training and knowledge increases. But we are leaning on that well more and more in terms of providing that demand in that area. So we think we're going to be zeroing in on what a real monthly expense is going to be for running the system. And we're getting better and better numbers, and they're hovering right around the same each month. So I think we're going to get there. And like Kyle said, by the end of the fiscal year, we're going to be pretty sure about what it's going to cost on an annual, because we will be up and running that at its maximum capacity, anytime now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Wally. Kyle, we have a question in chat from Carrie. She says, doesn't this site have PFAS issues?
There have been PFAS detected at this site. I don't have any PFAS slides. I can tell you it's on the scale of probably looking at like 1 to 4 nanograms per liter.
Yeah, it's pretty low. But the way this system is designed, the activated charcoal vessels that were the original treatment are necessary to what is called quench the hydrogen peroxide that might be left, but it also pulls all the PFAS out. So we are getting PFAS data at the well, after treatment, and after the GACs. And we have that data, but Kyle's right. It is very much
It's
the
higher than
least
what I
of
said, though. Yeah,
yeah,
but it wasn't
it's very
4. I
much the
think I said
least of our
probably
problems
10.
there.
Yeah.
But the
Yes,
whole
and yeah,
system treats for it.
yeah, and yeah, happy coincidence. It's this system's had the charcoal, the granular activated charcoal on it for, like I said, decades before people even
Mhm.
knew about PFAS. It's honestly been treating PFAS since before EPA even proposed doing anything about it years ago.
Well, Kyle, just to clarify, you said the numbers are low. How are they in relation to any groundwater standards that there might be for this?
Right.
There is no MCL for this. Well, there is an MCL for this compound, but it's like a rolling average. But everything produced by the system, it's below that. All the water going out of it, it's below the maximum contaminant level.
Great, thanks.
I have a question. Has this contamination stopped then, and we're just trying to remediate existing contamination, or is it an ongoing thing?
It, from the best our monitoring can tell, it has stopped. This I'll show you. Boy, every time I do this, I'm afraid it's going to shut down on me again. I apologize. But if you look at this plume here that I'm kind of running this laser pointer
Mhm.
around, that used to extend all the way down to this yellow
Right.
square here.
Right.
This yellow square is the location of the former landfill. So what it's done is Pima County has treated the water at this landfill. They have an extraction system similar to the South Shannon one, where they
Right.
pulled water out, treated it, and also since the cap was placed on it to stop the contaminants from going into the groundwater. So what you've seen is over the years it's retreated. So now
Right.
it's what we call a detached plume. It's detached from that source of contamination, which is a good sign.
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments? Love what we've been able to talk about. Okay, if anybody does have questions that you think about later, you can always reach out to me or Kyle, and we will get your questions answered very quickly. And that includes any non-cab members that are here. Anybody can always reach out to either one of us if you have questions about the presentation or anything going on at the site. We can help you out with it.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome. I'll leave this up here if anyone needs it. No one's saying anything. Okay.
Oh, I have
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sure.
a question. Are we going to talk about a possible tour of 2 people to the site?
We can do that.
You can direct them to me at Metro Water, and then we may not be able to get our utility superintendent, but you can certainly have me. And I can take a couple of people out there at different times if that makes it easier. It's probably easier and quicker than having to advertise it.
Yeah, the
Because I'm
thing is
sure,
that
Barb, you have a time frame that it has to be advertised for.
yeah, it
So,
only needs to be advertised, 24 hours in advance.
oh,
But with you being a cab member, that means you can only take one person at a time on the cab.
okay.
Well, yeah, and if it helps, Wally, I can support this effort any which way if tour
Yeah.
guides needed anything.
It would be easy. It would be best if we could have our utility superintendent give the tour and explain the mechanics of everything, and me just there as a cab member and as a water resource manager, and that knows a little bit more of the lay of the land all around us. So I think it would probably be most efficient if we could just do an all cab meeting, and that way and get it advertised. But then I can have my utility superintendent and one of our operators that operates it on a daily basis. I mean, it runs by itself, but we have an operator that goes and tests and takes measurements and checks pressures and all that kind of stuff. It would be good to have one of those operators join. And then any and every question you could dream of, there'd be somebody there that could answer it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
That's great. And yeah, it's no problem if it works out that everybody wants to do the tour together, that's no problem. We can, like I say, make a little agenda and a notice, get it out there, notify the public that the cab will be meeting to do this tour. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say that anybody that does want to do this, why don't you email Wally or myself and see what dates work for everybody. If
Okay.
it works out that you want to go in dribs and drabs, that's fine too. Whatever is, Wally and his folks can accommodate. Or if we want to do it all together, that's fine too. I just need to know so that we can properly notice it. So yeah, I would say email and give dates that you might be interested in what your availability is. And then of course, what Wally's and Tucson Water's availability is. And
Metro.
sorry, Metro.
I'm an
Eh,
expatriate of
yeah,
Tucson.
yeah.
I remember when you were Tucson Water. Wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. No, 9
Still
years.
in my head though.
It doesn't feel like that long ago.
It doesn't feel like 9 years.
So yeah, we can take it from there once we have availability and things like that. Then we can decide whether it needs to be
Okay.
notified as a meeting and stuff like that. All right, let me put the agenda back up and we will move to the next thing. Thanks again, Kyle.
And Barb, I wanted to, Carrie asked a question about PFAS. I pulled up some reference material so I can give a more accurate numbers and concentrations. At a quick glance, the highest I saw was 24 nanograms per liter.
24?
24. And these are not we've been dealing with micrograms on the previous discussion about TC. These are, remember, nanograms.
Okay.
So at every 1,000 nanograms is 1 microgram.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, that looks like about the highest we saw when we went out and tested those monitoring wells.
But we're not seeing concentrations like that at South Shannon.
Yes, right. Those are not in the drinking water well. That was just
there's none, and
yeah,
not in the drinking water well, and
right.
There's none coming after the treatment. It's non-detect.
Great, thanks for that.
Okay, I'll be quiet now. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's totally fine. Thanks for the additional info.
You're welcome.
Okay, I just want to put one last call out. Is there anybody else that has any other questions before we move on? Okay. Okay, so the remaining items on the agenda are just some pieces of cab business that we have to take care of at every meeting. The first item is our ritual of nominating and voting on co-chairs. Our current co-chairs are Bob Ornelas and Wally Wilson. You're both welcome to remain as co-chairs if you'd like. Anybody else can step up and say they'd like to be a co-chair, but we would need, a motion to nominate somebody in a second, and then we would vote on it. So if anybody's interested, please make your voice heard now. Don't all rush.
I would like to nominate Wally Wilson.
Anybody would like to second that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Okay, how about for a second co-chair? We get a nomination for that.
I'd like to nominate Robert Ornelas.
Bob, you willing to do that again as well?
Sure.
All right, then we just need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Thanks, Wally. Okay, so we are going to have a vote on the to keep the remaining co-chairs, which are Wally and Bob, in staying in the co-chair position until we have our next meeting, unless we have it in less than a year. We really only have to do this once a year, but that's pretty much why we have to do it at every meeting. So all in favor of our cab meetings of voting Wally and Bob, please say aye.
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 Or you can indicate in chat if you don't have a microphone. I heard 3.
I said aye.
Great, thanks, Carrie. So that passes unanimously, and you all are co-chairs still. Let's see. Blaine, it looks like maybe you started a question in chat. If you do have something, either you can unmute and ask or continue the question. We'll be glad to get to it. Okay, the next item of business would be simply to review and approve the last meeting minutes. So let me stop sharing this and I'll pull those minutes back up just so we can take a look. Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. Here's the minutes. Okay, our last meeting was held on October 23rd of 2023. I did send the minutes out to you all in your packet, the CAB members. I hope you've had a chance to review it. Does anybody have any questions about the previous meeting minutes? Go ahead, Wally.
Sorry, I'm petting a cat
Oh,
that's sitting right outside the camera. She came up for a visit.
okay. Does anybody have any questions about the previous meeting minutes? If not, then we would just need a motion to approve the previous minutes, a second, and then a vote.
I move to approve the minutes as written.
Thanks, Wally. Second?
I second it.
Great, thanks. All right, all CAB members in that would like to approve the previous meeting minutes, please say aye.
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 Great, thank you. Those passed unanimously as well. Pull the agenda back up. And that is our official CAB business that needs to take place. The next item would be to discuss future meetings and anything you would like to discuss at future meetings. If there's anything you can think of now, go ahead and bring it up. As you know, I try to keep in contact with the CAB members, hopefully 4 times a year at the minimum, to keep you updated as to what's going on the site. So you can always let me know anything you'd like to talk about at a meeting. But if you can think of anything now you'd like to talk about at a future meeting, let me know. Or if there's any changes you would like to any of these meetings. Does anybody have any comments?
I've got one question back to the rod. It's in development. Will there be a draft to review as CAB members? Or what is the process to finalize the rod and then it's like done and we see a final copy?
Do you want to handle part of that, Kyle? We don't normally send the drafts out to the CAB. I don't know if there's a reason we can't. What do you say, Kyle or Tina?
I've not done it in the past. I would essentially have to ask management. But off the top of my head, I don't see any huge issue regarding that.
I was just curious and when we thought we would see the rod.
Yeah, I can, you know what, I can let me bring that up to management and then Barb can get back with an
Okay.
answer on that if that works for everyone.
Yeah, I can let you guys know as soon as I hear something, if we have any kind of projected timeline for the rod. It's not a long document.
No, and again, it's the less the writing and more of the administrative and cost stuff that need to
Yep.
go into it.
Yep.
There's some stuff like that.
All right, so I think that concludes the business for the evening, unless anybody has anything else they'd like to say before we sign off.
Can I take a moment here to discuss the passing of Gary Bouchard? He and I started in this cab from day one, and it's been a long journey. And he was always very professional. He was a good guy. I think in spirit, he's watching to make sure this does come to a completion, but it's been a long ride. I just wanted to let people know how much I appreciate him and his input. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, I agree. He was a super nice guy. He was so dedicated. He contacted me from his hospital bed a year or two ago, wanting to know what was going on. Um, yeah, he's very much missed.
Yeah, Gary and I have known each other since 1986, 87, when he and I met in Butte, Montana at a hydrogeology field camp. And and we've worked parallel. We worked parallel in our careers, and ultimately, he and I were both at Metro Water. He was the hydrogeologist there, and I was the water resource manager for many years. And so he is missed at Metro Water most definitely.
Yeah, I can say Gary has always truly helped on this project. He's one of those people that, yes, he's on the cab, but he's also a hydrogeologist, and he's always been so sharp and helpful and able to point things out that others might miss. And especially when I first came onto this project, he was a huge help. He was a wonderful man.
Yeah, Carrie says in chat, thank you, Robert. Yes, I appreciate your comments regarding Gary and all the people who are participating now and who have participated in the past. Thank you. That's nice, Carrie. Thanks. Wally, when you went to your field camp in 1987, were you teaching or were you a student?
Oh no, I was a graduate student.
Hmm.
I actually wound up transferring up there to work on my master's in hydrogeology.
I did my geology field camp in 1986 up in Colorado. I was out in the field back then too.
Well, I did geology field camp in 1984. I did hydrogeology field camp up in Butte in
Oh, wow.
87.
Nice. All righty. Well, I think that's about it. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. Appreciate it. I really appreciate you being here and your continued support of the Community Advisory Board and the community. It's important. This is an important site. If anybody does have any questions, please contact me or Kyle. We'll be glad to get back to you with any answers. And then we will coordinate this whole tour thing and see if we can get that going. That's a great idea. Thanks, Wally, for volunteering to help facilitate that. That's much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Wally.
All right, the time is 6:48 p.m. We'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thanks again, everybody, for coming
Hey,
out tonight.
thanks a lot.
Good night.
Appreciate
Take
it.
care.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thank you, everyone.
bye-bye.
Have a nice evening.